No, I was thinking stay-at-home son would have been a great profession, but obviously I got dragged into the business and no regrets so far. It's really enjoyable helping people with something really a lot of people don't understand.
Um, and you got either, since we're doing kind of a dual interview here, just whoever feels like taking the question, go for it. We don't have to do the same question twice. Um, uh, so what inspired, I mean, Honig's over 100 years old, but what inspired you guys to get into this type of work?
Well, you know what? Honestly, the office was located on LaGuardia Place, right behind the old Loeb Student Center on LaGuardia between Third and Bleecker. And while I was in college, I worked part-time in the office. My father was running it back then. He owned it. And so I've actually been working there, I guess, since 1978. That's when I started. And it just felt I honestly I went to Wall Street after when I graduated NYU. I said, Pop, I'm out of here. This is too boring for me. And I went to Chemical Bank, if you can remember that name. And I really felt like I was buried. I couldn't wait to get back to the agency, and that's kind of what I did. But we were fixtures in Greenwich Village in the same location for over 110 years. And I still miss it every day because Greenwich Village is like it's a little neighborhood in a giant city, and people don't realize that. And that's basically how I got back into it. But so we took over the family business. That's basically it.
Speaking of the village, so that kind of town feel to it sometimes it has, even though in a big city, right? Is that something, Peter, as a broker, like, is that having a personal touch? Is that something that attracts you to doing business here?
Well, definitely the feel of I would say, there's a very cliche what is it, slogan that a lot of insurance agencies use. Big enough to handle all your business, but small enough to give you the personal touch. And as much as it's very much us. We still pick up the phone. I had a young man walk into the office this morning just to try to get insurance. We still deal with our clients hands-on. And to us, you're not a number. We still look you up in our system by name if we don't already know you, which usually we know all our customers when they call. So. We definitely bring that to our business now.
I mean, we make it a point to follow the old-fashioned model. You're when you're a client here, you're a client here. We know who you are, we know what you do, and we like to have a conversation with you. We're not just selling policies and giving you a promise that we'll be there when your place burns down. I mean, we're in it for the long run. We always have been. You can't do 120 years and be a fly-by-night. I mean, we're committed to this industry and we're committed to the people, our clients. And right now, we're actually operating, I think 47 states we're licensed in, and we got probably business in every one of those states. So we do, we're a big, small firm, if I could coin that.
I did not realize you guys were in 47 states. Well, that's a good seg into the next question here. What's doing business, doing insurance in New York City versus some other states? What are the big challenges there? I'm sure there's a lot of competition, first of all, but beyond that.
The competition, right? You have regional carriers, and most people are shopping on price. So the regional carriers always end up having a better price versus the national carriers. But I think one of the biggest distinctions of insuring here versus insuring in Pennsylvania or Oklahoma, you have a different risk profile. Here, our biggest claim is water damage. Your upstairs neighbor, he leaked into your unit, and now the carrier is paying out on a water damage claim. Out in Pennsylvania, depending on where you are, it's access to water to put out a fire if you have a fire at your house, right? We have fire hydrants on every corner. We have fire stations all over the city. We can get to your fire and we can put it out. But in Pennsylvania, sometimes you just don't have a water source for some of the houses you insure. And then when you go over to Oklahoma, Well, you got tornadoes, you got wind, you got giant hailstorms that you have to insure against. And it's knowing the specific risk profile of every state that really is the challenge and the exciting part because every state you go into, you get to learn something new. But usually, and unfortunately, it's the hard way, as all good lessons are
Yeah.
learned.
I would add that, the world is watching New York City right now, and the court system is challenging enough. So one of the challenges that we're seeing here in the city is that carriers don't want to be here. They don't feel they could get a fair shake in the courts. So the way they protect their assets is not to deal in the city. So that's a big challenge because we find ourselves dealing with carriers with obscure names. And the withdrawal from the marketplace, we're seeing it by the national carriers. They don't come in actually and say, hey, we want out of New York City. But I'll give you, for example, so one of the carriers that we represent, national name, you would know it, you hear it every day. They advertise all over the place. And they said, look, we still want to write homeowners in New York City, but we're not even going to consider an application unless you give us a copy of the deed. And that to me is one of the most ridiculous things because most people, A, don't even know where the deed is for their house, let alone the only way they'll give insurance. I mean, there are a million other ways to check the ownership of that house, but they want a copy of the actual deed. So and by the way, they want a paper application. Don't do anything over the internet. We need to see it in paper. So what they're kind of saying is don't even put us in your rotation because you can't, we don't want to see anything. And we're seeing that on a larger scale. We're seeing it with the bigger carriers. I mean, every co-op or condo building here in the city is getting wrecked on their umbrella. Their umbrella premium is probably tripling what they were paying for 10,000 last year. This year it's 30, 40, 50,000. So we're seeing a withdrawal from the New York City marketplace. And I think until we either get some tort reform or a back to a better place, a middle place, I think it's going to be even more challenging going forward for not only businesses, but individual homeowners to secure coverage.
Are those rates increases, are those a result of, we get some wild storms here now that, like, I've been in New York 20 years. The things
You
that
know,
the things that happen to my that I'm concerned about as a homeowner in Brooklyn is like I didn't think I would be concerned about even 5 years ago. Um, or is that part of it? I mean, you see, like you hear the stories of like the Palisades in California, California that they're just not insuring homes, or it's
so
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 high, it's like it's prohibitive to ownership. Um,
So in New York, if you want a rate increase for, let's say, homeowners insurance, you have to apply to the state, right? So the process is daunting. So if you apply for rate increase this year, number one, you're using lost data from 3 years ago because they want historical data, right? It'll take them 5 years to approve your rate increase. So by the time you get an increase, it's 8 years old. And it's the homeowner's getting sticker shock all day long, but the system that we have is just not working. But unfortunately, it's politically driven. It's not driven by professionals who have been in the industry, who understand the machinations of what's needed to keep a marketplace healthy. So we see these tremendous rates. Right now, to answer your question, the rates that we're seeing are here's a number, take it if you want it. We really don't want to be there. Go away. And it's it's just that's what it is. It's their way of getting out of the city. Like in other words, I'll sell it to you if you want to pay this price. And it's just a very bad environment right now. And I'm sure as I said, I'm sure you're hearing from business owners whose rates have doubled or tripled, and there's no end in sight, and no one wants to address the problem in a professional way.
yeah, one thing that's been pretty in the news a lot is the hospitality industry, restaurants and bars just
Yeah.
almost double the rates, right?
At least, I mean, a restaurant that we used to provide insurance for, let's say it was $8,000 2 years ago, they're going to be up to 25,000 now.
What is there, and there's nothing they can do to reduce that? Is there anything they can do a program operationally to
You
say
know,
we're, we are a alcohol serving environment perhaps, but we have certain,
if you have
standards in
three,
place.
if when the marketplace becomes non-competitive, they don't really have much of a choice. So right now you have maybe two or three carriers who will write restaurants in the city. So they know who they are, they know what each other's pricing is. They don't feel they have to compete to get business, and they know that as opposed to having 20 or 30 carriers in the marketplace who want to write the risk, there's only three. So they could name their price. They know they're going to get it. But to answer you, yeah, operationally, I think some of the things that most restaurateurs don't realize is Facebook is a blessing. Facebook and Instagram, it's a blessing because it's free marketing. But I got news for you. Once you post that picture of Sally with the lampshade on her head dancing on the bar, you're probably going to lose your coverage. So you really have to monitor what people post about your restaurant and about your bar to keep your image crystal clean. We are stuck in underwriters who the first when we submit an account, the first thing they're looking at is the Instagram page. So when I tell them you're a restaurant and they now see 14 people dancing, they know that there's dancing going on and they're going to walk away. So restaurant owners have to be very careful as to what posts are on their social media, as it's something they have to do. That's one of the things they could do to help themselves.